share with you guys. It's a bit crazy to be completely honest because I was like, oh my god, everything's happening, and I don't know what's happening because I get extremely flustered when I come across crazy stuff like this. So honestly, thank you so much for waiting for this to start. Just gonna check whether I am live on all the places that I need to be live on, and yes, I am. Let's go. Woo, woo, woo. All right, I'm also gonna start recording. That sounded like I was a monkey, but all right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reconnecting with Your Soul, your Lighthouse. Now, for anyone who's joining this stream live or in replay, please let me know where you're joining in from and what time is it there. Like, why are you so excited to hop on this particular live? What invited you to check this thing out, and what are you the most excited to take away from this live? While you guys go ahead and type all of this stuff down, I am going to just jump into it. Why is it so important for me to talk about reconnecting with your soul, reconnecting with your inner lighthouse? Personally, I feel like oftentimes we are in a very um, toxic relationship with ourselves. Now, there is this wonderful song by Imagine Dragons called Bones, and he says this line which goes something like, face in the mirror is all I need. A lot of us, especially women out there, or honestly, let's get rid of gender roles here. But a lot of us tend to have this scenario of we are the only person we need. Yet, almost 90% of the time, we do not get back in touch with ourselves. We do not listen to ourselves. We do not reconnect with ourselves except for when things get extremely bad and we are like, you know what, we need help. I don't know who to look up to. I don't know who to trust. So I'm going to trust myself, trust my gut, trust my instincts. But why is it that we often tend to reconnect with ourselves only when we are in danger? We need to understand that this is a definition of a toxic relationship. Like, if I was in a relationship with a person who would only show up for me at times when they were stressed out, they were going through a rough patch and they needed support, i would I would show up, but I would not be a part of that relationship. I'd eventually be like, you know what, I would love to support you no matter what, but I don't think this relationship is working for us right now, and I would leave. However, our soul is so much more generous than that, than human beings in reality, because it shows up for us no matter what. Another song that I love referencing to is a song called First Love by Suga from BTS. And he explains that he used to play the piano a lot, but he stopped, sometime in between his life. He stopped playing the piano. But when he does go back to it eventually at a later point of time in his life, the piano welcomes him with open arms, right? That's the same exact thing that our soul does. Our soul trusts us, our soul loves us, and it is always speaking to us. It's always whispering, it's always sharing answers, insights. This is what comes up to us when we close our eyes and try to meditate, and we have all the screaming and all the things going on in there, is because our soul hasn't had an opportunity to have a conversation with us, and it is finally getting the opportunity to. And even during then, all we do is like, no, shh, I need to maintain a peaceful state of mind, I need to be calm, and I need to be spiritual. No, that won't help you at all, because your soul is finally getting the opportunity to actually have a conversation with you. Your soul is waiting, but just because it's waiting patiently doesn't mean that we need to keep pushing them into that route of always having to wait for us to show up, or always having to be in a difficult scenario for us to finally get back in touch with ourselves and reconnect with ourselves. Drop a one if this is landing for you guys. I don't know, I'm genuinely trying out all these chat settings and stuff like that, but I will get back and check out all your comments at a later point of time. Feel free to drop any questions that you have as well. But yeah, a lot of us tend to show up for ourselves only when things go to shit. We should stop doing that, because our soul is constantly giving us the answers to all our problems, or at least the beginning of the answers, right? Like, for example, if you're going through a rough patch and you have a question in mind, when you ask that question, we tend to go around asking other people for the answer of that question, even though somewhere deep down we are already aware of what the answer looks like. Now, hold on, just give me 1 second. That's better. Now, a lot of times we are already aware of the answer, but we don't listen to ourselves because we have learned to not trust ourselves. We used to trust ourselves a lot as kids, We used to do everything that our heart wanted us to do, our soul wanted us to do. We would jump in puddles, we would run around, we would bunk classes, we would not join big things. We would just have fun and enjoy life for what it is, and experience life and express whatever we have experienced to the people around us. But society, parents, friends, everyone told us, shh, this is not the mold that we need to live by. There is a separate mold for you. This light is distracting me. Okay, there we go. This is so much better. I was like, oh my god, there are so many lights on me. You guys can see that this is my first time trying the setup and all of that. But anyways, yeah, my soul wanted me to remove the plug, so I did it. And I'm not gonna blame my soul for it, but anyways, yeah, as kids we used to follow our heart's desires. We used to do everything possible in our life to make sure that we were enjoying our life and experiencing it. But as we grew up, society told us this is not the mold you need to be in. You are thinking too out of the box. Get back inside it. And so we have learned to not trust ourselves at all when it comes to solving our own problems. So even though our soul is always telling us the answers, we are like, shh, no one asked you, right? But the thing is, when we go around looking for answers, we are oftentimes trying to relate or reconnect whatever someone else is telling to what we already are aware of, right? It's all about reconnection. So if someone is already aware of something and someone tells this is what you are supposed to do, and if that is exactly what you get from within you, you're like, okay, yeah, that's validation. That's me getting validated that I should be doing something like this. This is the answer that I was looking for. When people tell you answers that don't necessarily resonate with you, or don't necessarily reconnect with the answer that you already had within you, things get a bit messy because you don't relate to it, you don't connect to it, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep looking. The thing is, we depend on these answers even if we are not consciously aware of it, which is why I feel like we need to start listening to our inner soul, inner child, to the lighthouse. This is why I love to connect the soul and the lighthouse, is because even in our darkest moments, our soul is always trying to guide us, which is why it is extremely important to reconnect with it and learn to love it, not in a toxic relationship, but in a very loving place, from a very loving place, from a place of abundance, from a place of love, from a place of joy. So it becomes important for you to break off the toxic relationship and start from a fresh page where you can learn to give to your soul as much as your soul is giving to you, right? And we'll get into all of that amazing stuff. But here's why this is important as well. I am a freedom soul coach. I talk about burnout all the time. So why am I speaking about spirituality? Why am I speaking about all of this? Because a lot of times when we are burnt out, we have something called as a depersonalization event, where we feel like we are not almost like ourselves. We are not connected to us anymore. This doesn't feel right. We don't feel right. So we disconnect, we depersonalize, and we are almost looking at us from a outsider perspective, and all we can do during that time is just blame us, yell at us, become the exact thing that we used to hate, right? When people used to hate us, when parents used to hate us, kids used to hate us, the society used to hate us. This is not how you're supposed to do this. This is not everything that your mind has absorbed from a very young age, every negative thing. You become a voice of that and you start to say all of that to yourself. This is why a lot of times in burnout, depersonalization, people start to hate on themselves a lot till it gets into depression, till it gets into life threatening situations. Which is why I wanted to speak about how you can reconnect with yourself, and you don't need to do this only when things get bad. This is something that you can do no matter when. You can start at any point of time. And sometimes I know things that your soul says isn't necessarily what we feel is right. And I'm not talking about the ego or the fear and all of that. Our soul talks to us in a very normal voice. It's not high pitched, it's not low pitched, it's the normal voice. It's the voice that we hear inside our head all the time, right? And sometimes, like during the stream, I switched on a light. Honestly, I wouldn't have done that a few months ago, much less a week ago, because I'd be like, oh no, people watching this would be like, oh my god, why are you doing this? Why are you not concentrating on talking about the work that you want to talk about? And I would not have done it before, but I'm doing it now because I'm learning to reconnect at a deeper level with my soul and let it know that I am here to do the work that you want me to do, because the end result is so much better. I don't have shadows falling on my face, I don't have weird lighting. You guys can see me, and it is a much better experience to look at me and listen to me during something like this. So, even when it kind of goes against not everything, but some things that you have deep in your heart that this is how life is supposed to be, you can still go out there and do the work. No harm in it, you know. So yeah, a lot of times our soul is talking. If not a lot of times, almost all the time our soul is talking to us. Our soul is guiding us. But how can we reconnect to it? How can we let it know that, hey, you know what, I'm getting rid of that toxic relationship and I am actually here to build a better relationship with you? You can start by actually sitting down and not meditating, but being in a similar state of awareness where you sit down, close your eyes, and breathe. Slow down for a second. Continue to take deep breaths and listen to whatever's coming up for you. Listen to your soul. Let it speak. It has been shushed for a pretty long time, so let it speak. Let it empty out its thoughts without the threat of you trying to shush it up, without the threat of you trying to be like, oh, this is not working, let me do something else. Oh my god, that was such a stupid idea. Why am I doing something like this? Without these threatening thoughts taking over, just be with yourself. Allow your soul to speak and speak and speak and speak. And when it's done, start having a conversation with it. I know it feels very difficult to do it. So, for all you Leos out there, we tend to look at mirrors all the time and be like, I'm so amazing. If you don't do that, I'm sorry, it's a very generalized notion. But honestly, look at your mirror and have a conversation like, hey, hi, how are you doing? I'm doing so good. Oh my god, you look so pretty. I know you look so pretty too. I know this sounds silly, but silly conversations is the base or the foundation of reconnecting with your soul. Go out on a date with yourself. Watch that favorite movie of yours. You can watch Pride and Prejudice like 20 times and still watch it and have all that gushy feelings. Do it if that is what your heart wants you to do, if that is what your soul wants to do. Reconnect with it. Go out to a cafe and read your favorite book, probably Pride and Prejudice again, and eat a pizza by yourself without having to worry about what people are thinking, because you're on a date with yourself. Start spending time with yourself. Start enjoying the time that you have with yourself. It's very crucial to do that. It's very crucial to actually look back and reconnect with yourself. And if you're having trouble finding out ideas for this, I want to invite you to honestly sit down after this live stream ends and close your eyes and think of the one thing that brings out the most nostalgic yet happy memories for you. It can be watching Ghibli, oh my god, I always mispronounce it, movies. It can be watching Doraemon, it can be, going to cafes, it can be anything that you want it to be. The most nostalgic moments, it can be sipping tea in front of a window while it is raining, or all of this crazy, crazy stuff, watching the sunset, anything that you resonate with. Start with the most nostalgic memory that you have and go out there and actually experience it. I am just checking up if we have any questions on our LinkedIn. But let me know if this is resonating with you. Let me know if this is actually connecting to you, if you feel excited by it. And yeah, so we had a conversation about how important it is to actually reconnect with yourself, how important it is to start that process of reconnecting with yourself. I want you guys to, while I search for any comments that are there on the post on the live stream, let me know what is the one thing that you find the most difficult to do when you are reconnecting with yourself. What is the one limiting belief that you tend to have during a scenario like this, where you're like, oh my god, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I shouldn't be doing this is so stupid. What is the one most thing that comes up for you, the limiting belief that comes up for you? I see that there are no messages, but there are a few people watching, so I'm excited. Thank you so much for watching this. You can send this message down in the comments and I can respond to you anytime you feel comfortable, or you can reach out to me and connect to me and we can have a conversation. But yeah, we have spoken about the importance of reconnecting with yourself, how you can actually start that journey of reconnecting with yourself. Now, there is a lot of mindset talks, limiting beliefs that shows up for us when we are starting this process, because this process is not easy. Your soul is not going to be all lovey-dovey to you when you first start to reach out. There are going to be things that come up that you don't necessarily want to come up, and they are going to be a bit more prominent now because you're actually listening to yourself. So here's my suggestion. When you start this journey, don't do it alone. Have a community, reach out to your tribe, reach out to the people around you, hire a coach, hire a mentor. You can also reach out to me. I am a Freedom Soul Coach that works along these exact parameters around burnout and around understanding your version of freedom. So reach out to me if you need help and we can figure something out. We will work together on enabling you to reconnect with yourself. I wanted to end this live with a wonderful story that I often share. Now, my very first program, which is still active, is called Kasturi. And it comes from a myth, a legend from our Indian mythology of how when Lord Shiva, Lord Goddess Parvati were in Kailash, and there was a monster called Raktabij who was attacking heaven. And while he was doing it, he had a boon of the fact that anytime a drop of his blood would fall on the earth, a clone of him would sprout out from it. And so it was basically impossible for people, for heaven to fight against him in a scenario like that. So all the gods and goddesses were kind of blocked off in separate corners, and they were like, oh my god, we don't know what to do. And Goddess Parvati is like, Lord Shiva, you have to help us. But he's like, you know what, this seems like a pretty good time for me to go and meditate, so that's what I'm going to do. And the goddess is like, we are in trouble. And he goes, you know what, deal with it. She's like, no, you have to deal with it. He's like, why? You deal with it. You are a goddess. You can deal with it. And she's like, bro, not the time for a lecture. Like, please help me out. Again, I am speaking from my soul, you guys. Not an insult to any god or goddess out there. But yeah, but Lord Shiva is like, you know what? I am just going to go you deal with this. And he leaves her with a paper, leaf almost. And he's like, when you're in troubles, open this and you will get to know everything you need to know about how to deal with the problems that you're experiencing. And as he goes, she opens it and she smells the distinct scent of Kasturi and is reminded of the Kasturi Mrug, which is the male musk deer basically. And there is the story of how he roamed around the world because he would get this slight scent that was extremely beautiful, extremely intoxicating. And he would constantly be in the search of this. He would constantly be like, where did this scent come from? And there would be a gust of wind that would flow through him, and then he would get that scent again, and he would keep running around in a frenzy trying to find the source of this beautiful scent. In doing so, he keeps looking, he doesn't drink, he doesn't eat, he basically starves himself. And because he's so exhausted, he falls down over across a rock, like he trips over a rock and bursts open his own musk pouch and realizes that the scent was coming from him all along. That real makes goddess Parvati realize that all the power she needs, all the help she desires is already within her. She just needs to connect. She just needs to accept herself and connect with the power that she has. There are a lot of wonderful spiritual teachings out there, that the 7 hermetic principles, which talk about how everything that happens starts or originates from a thought, that we right now are the exact replica of the universe. Because if you look at our atoms and the nucleus, it's all rotating around in the same exact way the universe is, with the sun and the stars and the solar systems and stuff like that. There is always, we have a lot of power. You need to realize this. And I feel like a lot of you guys already do. A lot of you guys already realize the amount of power you have within yourself. It's time that you accept it, acknowledge it, and actually go ahead with it. It's time to reconnect with yourself. It's time to reconnect with your lighthouse and allow your soul to guide you to your answers, or at least the beginning of the answers. I know sometimes we are not, omniscient, we are not omnipotent, and all of that words that I no, I'm not finding the right word for it, but we don't know the answers to everything in the world, right? But we do know a few answers. We do know the beginning of a few answers. So when you ask questions, close your eyes, listen to yourself, and you will find the answer or the beginning of your answers, and that can lead you to the answer that you need to find. It can be, hey, this is a really amazing question. I don't know what to do about it. Well, is there a coach for it? Is there a mentor for it? Is there a teacher for it? Can you go and reach out to them, and can they help you? There you go. That's basically how our soul functions. It urges us to react and respond and move through our life with expressing ourselves and experiencing everything that there is to this world. With that, I hope that this live resonated with you. I am so excited to be able to do this. Thank you so much for whoever is watching this, whoever decided to hop on and listen to this wonderful live. This is just the beginning, one of many lives that is going to happen from now onwards that I want to kind of build up on. So honestly, your experience of watching these lives will also change as we go about this journey, or basically witnessing me in the very beginning of my journey. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that you resonated with this. Please let me know your biggest takeaways of what you thought about reconnecting with your soul, the importance of it, and what is the one thing that you would like to do after this live ends to spend some time with yourself. With that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.